Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this free training. It is your girl, dating and relationship coach, Martha Bodyfelt, just like the sign says up here. And during today's free training, something I think that's very, very important that I would love to share with you all is just discussing some of the most common characteristics that I see with every single client that I end up dating, right? that I end up coaching. And so it doesn't matter what their background story is. It doesn't matter if they were the children of immigrants. And this might reflect and this might, speak to you as well. It might actually be that you are, coming from a family that had very modest means and maybe you were, kind of like the first one to go to college or anything along the lines of that. But what we are talking about today are the main characteristics that I see in literally every single one of my clients. And I have been doing this for about 6 years. And so I've coached well over 100 women in this time. And these, regardless of where they're coming from, regardless of their family background, of their religion, of where they live, whatever their profession is, however they were able to kind of get themselves to where they are now as successful women, just like you who's watching this right now, these are the most common characteristics I see that growing up, they were really kind of seen as kind of like the dutiful daughter. So I know I've talked about this before, but this is the most common characteristic that every single one of my clients has. And so what do we mean by the dutiful daughter? Well, it's very self-explanatory, but let's go into this. The dutiful daughter is someone, if you were putting your needs, even as a child, if you were putting your needs ahead of everybody else's. Right? So maybe your parents actually expected you to be the third parent. And so you were the one who was always very obedient, who was very organized, who was very ambitious, and who was maybe even like a little bit dominant in the family. That is the dutiful daughter who works her ass off to never disappoint her parents. So, dutiful daughter, number one characteristic. Number two is being a people pleaser because there was probably something from a very, very young age that taught you that in order to get the validation and attention that maybe you weren't getting because your brother was getting it, because your younger siblings or even the other siblings in your household were getting it, for you, you found that the best way to get attention and to get that validation in your family was if you were the people pleaser, if you got the wonderful grades, if you did take care of your siblings, if you were just kind of like the star student or the star athlete, or, if you were the type of student or if you were the type of child who all of the people, if they were talking about you, all the adults said, oh, she's such a good girl. And when you heard that, you probably synthesized, hey, in order to get praise, I must always go above and beyond to make people appreciate me and make people validate me and be proud of me. And that was probably a lesson that you internalized, probably even before you were old enough to even be thinking about it. So that's the number two characteristic, that you were probably a people pleaser. And chances are you probably still are a people pleaser. Right. And so the third characteristic that I see with all of my clients is that they were always sacrificing and always putting their needs on hold for the good of the family, for the good of the parents, or even for like their bratty brother who seemed to just kind of like get away with everything. But you felt like you were always held to a higher standard. So here's the thing, maybe those characteristics really kind of contributed to where you are now as a highly successful woman, as an ambitious woman, as a woman who has all of her shit together, at least on the surface, whose coworkers like you might be your own business owner, whose kids like you, whose friends admire you. So maybe those roles that you played, being organized and ambitious, being the people pleaser, being the dutiful daughter, being kind of the martyr and sacrificing your own needs and your own wants, even as a younger child, even today, those things, yeah, okay, maybe. Let's say that they have gotten you to a place that has made you professionally successful. But here's where the problem collides. Those roles, when we bring them into romantic relationships, aren't as successful, are they? Nah, You might be thinking, well, yes, I'm a take charge woman and I'm independent and I've take girls rule the world and all of these things, and maybe using that kind of attitude and trying to like copy and paste that mentality of the go-getter, of the people pleaser, as the martyr, as a dutiful daughter, and trying to like copy and paste that mentality in your actions when you are trying to date. How's it working for you? If you have been in prior relationships before, and I know you all have, whether it was a partnership or a former marriage or anything like that, if you tried to apply that, what happened? You were probably attracting narcissistic men, or chances are you might have been attracting like a guy who is just very, very beta, who ended up acting just like a child and not a proper husband who was going to have your back and who was going to make you feel secure and loved in his presence because you were like doing everything. Now, the reason that that was a problem is because in relationships and in dating, we as women deserve to be courted. You deserve to be wooed. It doesn't matter if you're making $250,000. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if like you're a high price attorney or a neurosurgeon or running your own business or a professor, anything. You still deserve to be cherished and cared for and wooed. But that's very hard to break that pattern that you had of that role. And so when you keep copying and pasting and replicating that role that you had as a young child, as a dutiful daughter, as a people pleaser, as a go-getter, as a person super organized, as a natural born leader, taking care of everything, that's making you feel very frustrated in your relationships. And as someone who was very much like that, I did find myself being in relationships as well, where I was just like, why am I doing everything? And I'm feeling exhausted. And so we don't want that, right? When we have taken time to be single, we're like, I don't want to do that anymore. But what am I supposed to do? This is just my nature. And so the mistake that we make when we're just like, well, this is just who I am. This is who I've always been, and this is just who I am. When we don't recognize those mistakes that we're making and changing those behaviors, we're going to continue playing into that role when we are going to date again, when we are going to be like in an exclusive relationship, when we are getting serious, when we do move in with a partner, even if we want to be married to them, we replicate those roles because we think that is all we know. And if it's all we know, I guess it's just always going to be like that. But that is a mistake. When we continue to just copy and paste these roles that we think in these behaviors without truly recognizing them, especially when they don't serve us, and they don't serve you if you're doing all the work in a relationship, or if you're the one who's always having to call the guy or make plans or initiate, it's making you feel drained. And it's making you feel drained because honestly, that's not in alignment with like the natural feminine essence, beauty, badass woman that you are. You deserve to be romanced. Something I love to say to my clients in our classes is that you need to picture yourself as the queen in the castle, as a Guinevere, and the Lancelot. Every single man who comes into your life should be that Lancelot who is trying to win your heart, who has to prove himself to you. It's never going to be the other way around. And unless you get out of that mentality of, I have to prove myself to everybody, I have to do everything, you're still going to stay stuck. And you're still going to be repeating the same relationships over and over again that maybe to this point have made you feel very cynical, very jaded, and wanting to like give up on love altogether when you don't want that. When you know that you want to date and have fun, you know you want to be romanced, you know you crave a partner. But if you're still repeating these same behaviors of doing all the work for everybody, you're not going to get that. No one's going to come and save you and just like magically make that for you. I'm a coach. I'm not a fairy godmother. I'm not a miracle worker. But here's what I can offer, and here's what we can do, instead. And here's something I would encourage you to focus on in the training is really kind of figuring out and understanding if you don't want to be doing all the work in the relationships anymore. It is going to be very important for you to truly understand what those patterns are that you're doing, those patterns of the dutiful daughter, those patterns of doing everything for everybody, those patterns of just not ever having boundaries because you don't want people to be mad at you or to not think like you're a good worker or to think like you're slacking off. You have to break those patterns because they're no longer serving you. Now, whatever happened when you were younger, if you were taking care of your siblings, if your parents put you in that position of being, the third parent, that was very unfair. Okay, we know it's unfair. So now what? We have to break that pattern. And until you truly understand those roles that you're playing, that you're doing the copying and pasting into your dating and romantic life and your relationships, you will continue to have relationships that frustrate you. Full stop. I respect you guys too much to bullshit you. You have to stop those patterns. You have to understand them, and then you have to stop them, and then you have to replace them with patterns and belief systems that are actually going to serve you and help you find and attract incredible men who are going to make you feel like this incredible, sexy goddess that you are. So, the second thing that you're going to need to do if you want to break out of that good girl, dutiful daughter, sacrificing everything for everybody kind of bullshit, kind of thing that you've been on for a while, is that you're going to have to learn how to pinpoint and get very conscious of the limiting beliefs that are no longer serving you and the self-sabotage that you are continuing to do time and time again that is leading you to date unsuccessfully, that is leading you to find and attracting men who are just being lazy motherfuckers and not like helping you at all. Or even if you are attracting good men, just taking over and not like letting them have their share or letting them even to like take like the burden. The men should actually be having the burden when you're dating. They should be making the arrangements. They should be making the reservations. They should be doing all of that. It is your job to sit and receive and appreciate that and just feel good. But if you're like, no, I got to do this because this is all I know, and if I don't do that, nobody's going to love me and nobody's going to accept me. That bullshit needs to stop, you guys. I'm calling you out on it right now. You need to stop doing it because as you can see in your life, it has not served you. It hasn't served you romantically. It might have served you in kind of like a heavily male dominated kind of patriarchal office situation, work situation, but your romantic life should be nothing like your work life. Okay. So you can't have the two same behaviors. But what you need to do instead is pinpoint those limiting beliefs that are causing you to have these actions, that are causing you to keep you stuck there. And you need to pinpoint the self-sabotage patterns that are making you go down this road all the goddamn time of being the dutiful daughter. You have to pinpoint that and you have to change it. Also, what you're going to need to do instead is to basically have that radical shift of thought that is going to help you be less frustrated in your dating life. You're going to have that radical shift of mindset so you can feel more confident, so that you can actually be open to attracting secure men who are masculine, who don't jeopardize your independence, who don't make you feel a certain way, and who certainly don't make you feel frustrated and make you feel just like an exasperated mother because you're taking care of a man child. But those things and those behavior changes cannot happen until you're able to recognize those patterns and recognize those limiting beliefs and actually change them into something that is actually going to benefit you until you actually start putting in patterns and behaviors where you're not just going to default into that dutiful daughter again. Okay. So here's the thing. If that is something that interests you, that is like the beautiful work that I'm able to do as a dating coach for grown ass women. As someone who was also a dutiful daughter in the past, who was just bending over backwards as an overachiever, trying to do everything to make my parents happy and my parents proud, and all of that just kind of like put into some very unsuccessful relationships that I actually had when I was a lot younger. And frankly, in my first marriage as well, that I felt like, oh, I have to do everything. I have to do everything, and becoming very frustrated and very resentful. And it wasn't until like I had a good reality check and I got very honest with myself and very radical with myself and started doing that work that the change happened, that I started to attract incredible men who were very secure and very kind. And it was ended up being like a partnership, being romanced and, getting beautiful flowers and stuff like that. But that is not going to happen overnight. There's no Prince Charming who is going to come and save you. And this is not like a rom-com where you just stumble into like a flower shop in like 1995 New York City and the man of your dreams is there. Ain't going to happen. And I know a lot of dutiful daughters think that it is, but it simply won't. So, ladies, if you are sick and tired of being that dutiful daughter, if you feel like you are going to scream in public the next time you have to like placate others and sacrifice your own interests and needs just to make somebody else happy, working with me is going to change that because I have seen this with every single client that I've worked with in the past 6 years. Is that when we start working together, they are frazzled. They are very cynical of love because to them, love has always meant work. And at the end of our time working together, they go from that to wistfully choosing to step away from their identity as a dutiful daughter and stepping into just an incredible woman who is worthy of love and who is worthy of praise, not because she's doing stuff for other people, but just for being her. And that energy shift has helped every single one of my clients actually attract incredible men who are, God forbid, courting them, actually making the dates and actually making them feel incredibly relaxed and secure and wonderful, which is not something that they have really had in a lot of past relationships where they were attracting a bunch of man babies who weren't doing anything. So, if you are interested in learning how you can actually go from falling into this pattern and continuing to fall into this very frustrating pattern of the dutiful daughter, the martyr, the sacrificial lamb, oh, I have to do everything for my family. Like, if you are over that and you're sick of that shit and you are sick of that role that you are playing and you want to learn how to get out of that, you want to learn how to get out of those limiting beliefs and those self-sabotage patterns, but you have nowhere to be, you have like no idea where to begin, I have the first step for you. What I would invite you to do in the next couple of weeks is actually book a complimentary discovery call with me. I want to hear about you. I want to hear where you're coming from. I want to hear all the bullshit that you're dealing with right now when it comes to dating or even kind of boundaries in your own life. And let's talk about how we can actually work together to get you from being frustrated and cynical to feeling confident, fearless, and actually attracting incredible men who you can experience true, awesome love with. So I am going to leave the discovery call link right below. Definitely book a call with me, and then you're going to find out in just 30 short minutes how your life can change in just a matter of months. Because, ladies, you don't have to be that dutiful daughter. You don't have to sacrifice. You don't have to play those roles anymore of taking care of your annoying brother and watching your brother being able to get away with murder, like, and you were held to a higher standard and letting that just like copy and paste into your own romantic relationships. Now's the time to stop it. And I can show you how. So I can't wait to talk with you on the discovery call. And remember, you are worth it. You are worthy of that love. That love is waiting for you, but you have to learn the tools in order to go and get it successfully. And that is what me, your girl Martha, your dating coach, can help you do and show you how to do in a far more compressed timeline than you could possibly do alone. So that's all I have for today, but thank you guys so much. I'm thinking all of you. I love you all, and I can't wait to talk to you again. Bye. Hey guys, it's your girl Martha Bodyfelt again, and I want to thank you so much for watching that training. And if you like what you saw, I would invite you to actually hit that link and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'd also invite you to sign up for our newsletter over here at marthabodyfelt.com. And thirdly, if you want to get great daily free training and no BS advice, definitely head over to the free Facebook group called Empower Dating for Women, where you can meet other incredible women just like you as you guys learn the best ways as grown-ass women to meet and experience the love that you desire. I'll see you there. Bye.